You're still watching the Sexuality Education with Bakshi series on my channel. Feel free to join the conversation everywhere on Twitter using the hashtag Sexuality Ed with Bakshi. Now we know that the concept of sexuality is broad, as Bakshi has broken down, and some of us have in the past mistaken the mention of sexuality with having sex or like sexual orientation. Like really we did not exactly understand, and I think that you're doing a great job trying to break this down. So which brings me to what you said earlier. You mentioned something to do with like 5 cycles of sexuality. What does that mean?
Yeah, when you look at the concept of sexuality, there are so many ways that we can further expand on it. And we shall just look at the circles of sexuality as one way of expanding on what sexuality is. And this really further break down and categorize the different forms of sexuality. And we have interacted with this on so many occasions. We shall just start off with one of them, which is more of the sexualization. And the sexualization is about using your power. It's about using your influence, your control to manipulate different people. Like for example, the aspects of rape, sexual harassment, and all that really come into the aspect of sexualization. Like, I'm your boss, you need the job, so if you do not exchange and you have sex, you don't get the job. I'm using my power, I'm using my control over you. So that's aspect of sexualization. Because look at, for example, rape. Most of the people who are raped are forced into this. You are influencing. But also there's aspect of manipulation. I know that moment when you feel like you want to have sex, I manipulate that moment to make sure that I get what I want. But also I get to know that when he gets drunk, I can easily manipulate him. So utilize some of those opportunities. That is all sexualization. But also there are moments where we have seen music videos, where we have music videos with nudity and all that, and nice champagne, people driving nice cars and all that. That's all aspects of sexualization.
What about the part where I'm sitting right across you, you're a stranger, and you look at me and you're like, you're such a hot mama. You look, I don't know, some compliments or like catcalling from men when you're walking on the streets, all that is
sexualization. Like, because they're using their power. Their power might be the words. Like, I just mentioned a word, like I can just hiss around. That's all sexualization. Like, we have seen instances of girls moving downtown and people are touching them and all that. Because I know I'm a man, and among men, no one can do anything. That's all sexualization.
I have a story about that. Yeah. I've beat up like 3 men so far.
Actually, I have recently when Lira and a colleague of mine slapped this guy for touching her. And actually, literally, the most interesting bit was the people around saying, yes, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
me too.
Yeah.
When I did that, people were like, yes, well, I didn't know. Like, thank you for teaching these people a lesson. Okay.
So it's not that we are really promoting the violence aspect, but we need to understand. You remember when we were talking about boundaries? The boundaries that we set are really very, very key. So it moves around. It also includes aspects of incest. We have a lot of aspects of incest really coming up so much. So, but also it includes the aspects of using the different cultural norms, social norms. Like, there are some cultures that are so strict when it comes to dowry and all that. So they utilize those aspects of dowry to manipulate you into something.
So the aspect or the type of sexualization has more negative connotations to it.
Yes, it has so many negative connotations to it. And most of the aspects that most of the girls and boys really go through, the butt touches, the aspects of rape, defilement, media messages and all that. We have seen a lot of cyberbullying happening, where people use people's pictures as memes and all that without even their consent. So you find that the circle of sexuality rotates around a lot of issues of consent, just using my picture and all that. But it has a lot of aspects of the words we use, the statements we make. Like someone mentions a statement like, why were you dressed that way? You get it? You have seen instances of where people start policing men's and women's bodies because of how they are dressed.
Yeah, just this when I was coming here actually,
Yeah.
I was getting ready, so I ironed shorts, to wear.
Mm.
I wore them, looked at myself in the mirror, and then I took them off. And then I asked and answered the question. I asked myself, so why did you take those off? Then I quickly answered myself, because wherever I pass, men are going to just hurl words at me, and even women will be like,
that's what I was going to mention.
yes,
It's
and
not only
even
the men,
women
but
will be
also the
like,
women.
now so why are you dressed like that? Like these, yeah, let's move on.
So that is one, and that sexuality is one of the most dangerous circles of sexuality that we have, because it has a lot of issues of power, influence, and all that. But the other circle that we can really talk about is a circle around sensuality, where we use our senses, the feelings, the aspects of knowing your body, the aspects of, for example, fantasizing, the aspect of the sexual response cycle. Like when it comes to, for example, the feelings, we talk about this from the way childhood and all that. Like, for example, the intimacy aspects. When a baby is born, and the first thing they do is they get the baby, and they put
skin to skin.
Skin to skin. So they are having that connection, the bond. It's the same thing, but as you grow, the feelings, the intimacy keeps on changing.
Yeah.
It moves away from brother, sister, it moves away from mother, son.
Yeah.
It now starts going to boyfriend and all that. And shockingly, even the older you get, you also become intimate and have feelings. But the intimacy now becomes different. You have seen instances when you go back to the village and your judge wants to carry you and all that, because they want to feel that intimacy, they want to feel that connection around you. So you find that some of the things do not only happen at a specific age, but as you grow, as you all that, and it really becomes interesting. Then the aspects of fantasy, having a lot of fantasies around you. For example, this is your biggest fantasy.
What?
Hey!
Does this accommodate the fact I had like a crush on a Hollywood A star or what?
Yes! Actually, that is it.
Oh my god, yes!
That's
so I used to like fantasize about, meeting Keanu Reeves, the star of John Wick, and Neo in the Matrix. Yo, guys, like I would literally, with fantasies, I think you envision, you see it live.
And it's really interesting. So you find that those fantasies, as you keep on growing, the fantasies also keep on changing. They keep on varying. And that's when you start using your senses.
Yeah.
Your mind, your smell, the touch. Like that is it. Like, there are some people you just, when you're so stressed, you just say, "Wait, I just want to hug you." That's it. Like, then you feel that. Then they're like when you're really so down and you just say, "Where is my mom? I just want to hug my mom right now." Like that is like a sense of feeling of touch. But it also has something very interesting, the sexual response cycle. The sexual response cycle is, when we are going to have sexual intercourse, it does not start with the action. Like, there are things you do. Like more of like, I don't know how to call it, but they're the things you do towards having sex. But also, if you're in a relationship, your partner gets to know that. Those are like the triggers.
Yeah.
Like those are
the switch.
The switch,
like,
the signs and all that.
Oh,
like,
yes.
There are people who get you, they take you on a date, a nice date.
The candle lit.
The candle and all that. So for you, that might be your form of a sexual response cycle. But something very interesting, there's a time we're doing a training in Bujiri, in Eastern Uganda. And this gentleman is about 45 years old. It was really so interesting. We're having a discussion around the sexual response cycle. And he mentioned and said, my wife, when I get back home and she serves food, she'll come back like normally. When the kids have moved away and they're going to sleep, and she's coming to remove the plates and all that, she'll come back in a half petty.
What?
In a petticoat. Like, that's just a sign to him that...
Oh my goodness, that is crazy.
Yeah, you see, like there are small things. There are small things that will happen, will do and all that. So it's really interesting. And he told us for him what he does is when he's going back home and he's communicating to the wife that today we want to have sex, he'll go back with ice cream. Like he's 45 years old, and you're looking at ice cream. Like, so you bring the kids, and you also bring
For the wife.
for the wife. So the wife will start communicating. So that's all what we talk about the sexual response cycle. So, and that's the other circle of sexuality. The other circle of sexuality that is really very interesting is the one about the sexual identity, where all of us get confused.
Right.
Yes, when we talk about sexual identity, it really includes the aspects of the development of the sense of who you are. Understanding who you are, it goes beyond the aspects of the sense of being either male or female, masculine or feminine. And the circle of the identity circle moves from biological, like how you're born. You're born with, for example, the female reproductive parts, you're born with the male reproductive parts, but it goes now to how you start relating with them. But also the circle of identity goes beyond to who you easily get attracted to. We have seen instances where a girl or boy says, wow, that guy is really so cute and all that. But you feel like you identify with them, even though they are female or male. But actually you're not female or male.
Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah.
So it moves beyond that. So it has the biological, but also it has the sense. But the most important thing about this is appreciating who you are, understanding your body. And understanding your body is not a one-day's job. You have seen people who end up dressing the way they are dressing up because they feel comfortable that way. So they prefer being either feminine or masculine. Like you'd see someone making up because they prefer to look that way. That is all aspects of sexual identity. It goes beyond just you being a boy or girl. It goes through aspects of the behaviors, how you behave when you're with a given group of people, how you behave when you're with a given group of sex, but also the social environment can determine your sexual identity. If you really grow up and relate so many with the girls and the females and all that, the women, there are some feminine aspects of you that you'll start having. But if you grow up relating majorly with the males and all that, there are some specific aspects of masculinities that you'll end up having. So the sexual identity is more from your senses, how you feel as a person, how you relate with other people, how you identify yourself, how you feel you understand and appreciate yourself.
Yeah.
And later on, when you do that, that's when it moves into the aspects of sexual orientation, which will be something that we shall look at in one of the episodes as we move on.
Okay.
Yeah. Now the other circle of sexuality is the circle of intimacy. That is like an independent circle of its own. The circle of intimacy. I briefly talked about it, but it goes through the aspects of closeness, how close you are with someone. It goes to the aspects of the sexual feelings. It goes to the aspects of the family, how you relate with everyone around you. So the circle of intimacy is one of the circles that is most common.
Yeah.
And a circle that everyone feels they are comfortable with.
They know they understand.
They know they understand. When we continue exploring sexuality, one of the last circles, which is the most commonest, which everyone talks about, is the circle of sexual health and reproduction. And this is about your sexual health. It talks about your reproductive system. It talks about issues of family planning. It talks about issues of maternal health. But it talks about the diseases that affect your reproductive health system, like the sexually transmitted diseases, like HIV, like the cervical cancers, like the breast cancers, like fistula, like prostate cancers, and all that. So that is one of the biggest circles, and is the most big. It's a circle that everyone keeps on looking at all the time, because it is a circle that we can easily feel and touch, because you can feel and see someone who is pregnant. You can feel and see someone who is sick. So it's that one of the commonest circles. But it also goes beyond. You remember when we were having the discussion and you said that understanding the consequences of the decisions I make.
Yep.
So that circle talks about that. Like, for example, what are the consequences of I engaging in unsafe sex?
I can answer that.
Yeah.
I could get pregnant. I could contract HIV and other sexually transmitted diseases. And then also those things have consequences. So the with pregnancy, you could get an ectopic pregnancy, you could get fistula, you could have a normal birth, but you could also, it could go wrong. So it's like one thing leads to another, so many branches of effects.
So you find that is the circle that also brings in the aspects of abortion. So you find that circle is really about the sexual health, your reproductive system.
First of all, just a second, please tell me we're going to openly discuss some of these things, like abortion.
Yes.
I have wanted to have an open conversation about it, but people never really step up to have a conversation, and I've always been like, I want to talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, in one of our episodes, when we shall be talking further about reproductive health and all that, we shall talk about issues of abortion, issues of family planning, issues of fertility, issues of safe motherhood, all fall under the circle of sexual health and reproduction. So you find that is like another circle that most of us talk about, most of us relate about, but it's one of those circles that we easily ignore because you feel everyone knows about it. Everyone is saying something about it. So briefly, that's how we can expand further sexuality. And as we move through the different topical discussions and episodes, you'll find that we shall have instances where we unpack, for example, sexual harassment in sexualization, where we shall unpack, for example, issues of abortion in sexual and reproductive health, where we shall, for example, unpack issues of the sexual response cycle, where we shall unpack issues of intimacy. So we shall get opportunity where we shall unpack all this in the coming episodes.
I definitely cannot wait. I feel like, okay, we are coming to the end of this discussion, but before we do that, you and I agreed that if we are to create a much more impactful discussion or conversation around this, then we might as well leave places or points where people can access some of these services, because it's very important. Growing up, or when we were teenagers, our peers would never go to buy condoms because you feel like if I go to a shop, a nearby shop near home, I'm going to be reported, I'm going to be frowned upon, I'm going to be castigated. How dare you, you know? When you're a girl, you feel like, oh my God, I remembered something, where if you're a girl and you get pregnant and you're in school, the ultimate punishment is drop out of school. Your future is done. Like, people used not to know where to access this. And actually, I think people still don't know where to find some of these services. Actually, some are unaware that they exist. Some think, like, people, let me go into the lane because the moment you work under some of these services or these specialists. So we decided that towards the end of every episode, you will be sharing some of these service points. And so let's go into today's service point.
All right, for today's Sexuality Education with Bakshi online series service point is I just share with you one of the biggest franchise clinics in Uganda, which is Maristops. They have the different clinics, Blue Star clinics. For those around Kampala, you can have one in Bwegere, there's another one in but they have opened up now Namuwongo, yes, and they have now opened up a hospital at Forest Mall, and you can have all reproductive health services ranging from antenatal to family planning services to HIV testing and all that. So you can walk into their services and enjoy the services. We shall always be sharing this, and you can check out their toll-free line that will just scroll there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bakshi. Guys, please openly share with me. Do you feel like you have learned something today? Because I know I have. And I cannot wait to see what more we shall be unpacking in the subsequent episodes. Thank you so much for watching today's Sexuality Education with Bakshi. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching today's Sexuality Education with Bakshi episode. And we'll see you next Wednesday. Please stay tuned and don't forget to join the conversation. My personal handle on Twitter is at Misty Blessing. You can find Bakshi on
at Bakshi Asman.
Okay, and we'll be happy to get in touch with you. See you next Wednesday.
Bye bye.
Good.